Since her election in 2008, State Representative Marcie Maxwell has been a supporter of public education, and I am really pleased to welcome her here today to receive our 2012 Senator Al Bauer WEA Friend of Education Award. Representative Maxwell is a proud graduate of the Seattle Public Schools and the Highline College for Business and Real Estate. She is the Deputy Majority Leader for Education and Opportunity in the House of Representatives. She serves on the Quality Education Council and is on the Joint Select Committee on Education Accountability. But I got to be clear, that's not really why we're giving Marcie this award. She has been a huge voice in turning the conversation from the bad teacher narrative to let's adequately fund our schools story. She was a champion in this last session in the fight against charter school legislation. In fact, I think it was just 2 weeks ago, Marcie and I happened to be on the same flight coming back from Washington, D.C. And as we got off the plane, we're gathering our gear, she looked at me and she smiled rather maliciously. And she asked me if I thought the state PTA meeting was still going on, and suggested that maybe we should hop on over there and engage in their little discussion on charter schools. Unfortunately, the PTA did pass that resolution. And I know that if Marcie had actually made it to that session, you can believe that any PTA member who got close to her would have heard an earful. When I say Marcie's a champion, I mean she's an outspoken champion. She wrote a paper titled 21 Reasons Why Charter Schools Would Not Work in Washington State. Let me share with you just the top 3 in my book. Charters have not outperformed public schools. The majority of charter schools have performed equal to or poorer than public schools. Number 2, charter schools too often increase segregation of minority students and students of poverty. And number 3, and the Ohio example proves this, charter school legislation has led to voucher systems which are funding religious schools or anything that looks remotely like a school in Florida and Indiana. Marcie, it took courage to stand up, to stand for children. It takes courage to stand for children at any time. And it was really a battle that you waged to stand for preserving our public schools. Marcie is a true champion. I am so very proud to present her this award today. Please join me in welcoming Representative Marcie Maxwell. Let me read to you the proclamation. Whereas Marcie Maxwell is a prominent figure in the fight to protect and improve the quality of public education, and whereas she is an unwavering activist with a lifelong commitment to provide opportunities for all students to succeed in our society, whereas she speaks her mind, holds true to her convictions, and is clear with her commitment in making public education a priority for Washington State, whereas she spoke out against charter school legislation and stood up for public schools, whereas she is recognized for her commitment to strengthening and protecting hard-won labor rights in our state. Now, therefore, be it resolved that on behalf of the 81,000 members of the Washington Education Association, hereby recognizes, honors, and thanks Marcie Maxwell for her ongoing advocacy, for imparting her voice, her expertise, her her wisdom in addressing critical issues facing public education, and for advancing change aimed at making a better life for every public school student in Washington State. Now, therefore, I, Mary Lindquist, President of the Washington Education Association, do hereby proclaim Marcie Maxwell as the 2012 WEA Senator Al Bauer Friend of Public Education in Washington State. Marcie.
Thank you all so much. This is a huge honor, and I'm just thrilled to be here with you today, to come over last night and spend a few hours with you here. And I want to give a special shout out to my home district in Renton and the Rainier Uniserve, the school board I came from and worked very, very closely with all of the folks here, and to the rest of my district in the Sammamish Uniserve, who we work very closely with throughout the year. As I said, this is very, very much an honor. There is so much work to do in education. There's the great work that you're doing every day as really important people in all of our children's lives in our local communities, as educators that we entrust all of our children to in our public schools. And I appreciate that so much. And I know that the important work that we do has to be done in collaboration. We have to work together. We have some changes that we all need to make along the way as the world changes, but it has to be together, and it has to be for the right reasons, and it has to be about what's good for kids and what's good for public schools, public education. This last session, I'm very proud of the work that we did to ensure that we did not cut funding in our K-12 system. And I know in my discussions with many of our school superintendents and school boards, we've heard from them that they really can look forward. They can do some planning. They're a bit at ease, and they can work much better together with you in their communities. And seeing that, for me, is a great start to understanding and helping my colleagues understand how important it is that we move forward with the funding responsibilities that we have. So that, to me, is the huge commitment that we absolutely have to have through this next election as we talk about the work of next sessions and through our next sessions as they start in January. And I heard a colleague of mine recently say something very unacceptable. I heard him say, "We're not putting another dime into this failing education system." And that doesn't work for me. And everyone in my region is going to know that he said this, and the fact that where we really need to do is make sure that we're all heading, all of us as legislators, to understanding how important our funding is and how important it is to follow through with the work that we promised a few years ago when we said, this is our new prototype schools. We know we need the class size that works for all the students and for our educators. We know we need counselors. We know we need librarians. We know we need technology and utility payments and all of the things that we promised you. So that's where our work is really going to need to focus on. If I can just share a little bit with you on the charter schools issue, I've become a bit of a, as I told Speaker Chop, I've gone from no to hell no on that issue. As I've continued to read all of the reports and to hear all of the speakers on both sides of that issue over the past few years, I get it. I get the fact that there is a movement that's going on that's going somewhere else than public education, and that's not acceptable at all to me. And we have got to fight. We've got to fight this together. I know for me, every candidate that's come to me and asked for my endorsement, that's my #1 issue with them. Where do you stand on charter schools? And I continue every day to take my 21 reasons to know and prospect out with all of those candidates and many, many more people around our entire communities, because I know we need to make sure that everyone knows, inside the education community and outside the education community, just how important it is for us to maintain and help our public school systems thrive. So I need your help doing that. I know that you understand the issues. I need all of us to work together through these elections to make sure that we elect Jay Inslee as our next governor, who gets it. He gets that public schools are really the backbone of our state and our American democracy. And I want to partner with him and ensure that we're doing the right things, making the right decisions to ensure that Washington has a bright future in public education. And I thank you so much for having me here today.